Hey everybody, Jace Line here with Skills Drills Baseball Training, and I'm back for the first informative episode of my video series called On the Ball. Now what if I told you I can make the baseball player in your life a better and more confident fielder without even taking a single defensive rep? What if I also said you've probably never heard this tip from another trainer or coach before? You'd probably be pretty interested, wouldn't you? Well, that's exactly what we're covering today in this episode of On the Ball, so let's jump right into it. So the reason why you've never heard of this tip from any of your coaches or trainers is because it actually has nothing to do with the form, mechanics, or technique in the fielding process. It actually has everything to do with one thing: the glove. And on today's episode of On the Ball, we're going to be talking about proper glove care and maintenance, and specifically in the oiling process, and how we can use that to build better and deeper pockets in our gloves that are going to help us on the diamond when the season returns. I can't think of a better time than now to do it. Normally when I like to oil my gloves is when I come across a stoppage in play, and right now there's a whole lot of players that have a whole lot of time on their hands. We're not using the gloves on the diamond, we're not using the gloves in practice, so I think they could really soak up some benefits here that we can use in the upcoming seasons. So let's get started. So I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, I never oil my glove and it looks just fine. And even though it might look fine, I can guarantee you it's affecting your gameplay in two different ways, and that's through durability and playability. So it's important to increase the durability of your glove for a number of reasons. Number one, it's going to affect the longevity of your glove. I'm sure your dry glove looks fine right now, but the longer that you take that to a diamond, the increased risk that it's going to run into trouble, whether that's cracking on the palm, which makes it uncomfortable to wear, or broken laces. Either way, next thing you know, you find yourself running right back to the store to buy another glove. It's obviously a total bummer because it's another investment, and we all know that a good glove isn't cheap, but it's also a bummer for whoever's using that glove, whether it's a coach or someone in the field. You know, there's a really intimate relationship between a fielder and a glove. A glove is a very personal thing, and if you don't believe me, go ahead and grab someone else's glove, whether it's an old glove laying around your house or maybe a glove from a different family member. Put that thing on and you'll notice it doesn't fit right, it doesn't bend the same way that your specific glove does. So as we use gloves longer, and the longer that we can, as a player, can keep our glove in the rotation, the more familiar we become with that glove, and as we become more familiar, we're going to become a better fielder. So it increases the longevity of the glove, which protects your investment in the glove because a good glove isn't cheap, and it also allows that player to become familiar over a course of years. This specific glove I've had for well over 13 years now. It definitely has some wear and tear, but for the most part it's still in really good shape, and all it takes is a little bit of oil to keep it there. So another reason why you want an extremely durable glove is from a safety aspect, and this is something that isn't talked a lot about in the baseball world. Yes, the majority of the time the glove is used for fielding, but in a time of need, this is also the only line of defense between you and a baseball. And anyone who's been around the game long enough, whether you're just helping out at practice and playing catch, or you're actually a player on the diamond, eventually you've run into a ball that has taken you by surprise and you've had to use this glove to protect your teeth. It's just the reality of the game. But from a player standpoint and from a parent standpoint, I want to make sure that this glove is the most durable that it can be, so that I can use it to protect myself. You know, let's say as a scenario, I'm playing third base and someone rips one right down the line. If I go to block it with my glove, and let's say, you know, I have dry lacing that I just haven't noticed because I haven't oiled it, I haven't inspected my glove, and that ball comes straight through the webbing, there's a potential that it could injure your body. From a player aspect, I want to make sure that I am fully confident in this glove, that not only can I field with it and that it's going to be durable through that process, but I can also use it to protect myself if I need it to. And that's an extremely important part of your fielding process. We see a lot of people that are shying away from the ball at the same time they're trying to field it because they're worried it's going to hit them. If you're confident in your glove, there's a higher chance that you're going to play with confidence and make a more confident play on that ball, stay in front of it, and be able to field it cleaner. So it's really important to the fielding process. So just to reiterate, oiling your glove increases the durability of the glove, and that's going to increase the longevity of the glove, which protects your investment. The longer that the fielder plays with that specific glove, the more comfortable he gets, the more familiar he gets with that pocket, the feel of the glove, he's going to become a better fielder, and it's going to increase the safety aspect of the glove. When it's more durable, it's not apt to break, and that player is going to play with more confidence and approach that ball with confidence and make him a whole lot better fielder in the end. So moving on from the durability portion, by oiling your glove, you're also going to increase the playability of the glove. And one of the aspects of playability is how easy is it to use. As you oil a glove and the leather absorbs that oil, it's going to become much more malleable and much more pliable, which makes it easier to open and close. So if you look at a well-oiled glove, you should be able to open and close that thing with ease, almost no effort. If you look at something like this, which is a new glove, it's never been oiled, that glove, especially for younger players or anyone who has weaker hand strength, that thing is going to be super hard to open and close and really get around the baseball. That's without a doubt going to affect the ability of that fielder to make plays. Where if you give him, even if you oil the glove you have and you get that glove to a state where it's easy to open and close, he's going to be able to play with more confidence and he's going to be able to make plays that are even on the margins of his abilities. So as you oil your glove and increase the ability of the leather to move, you're also going to increase the ability of the leather to stretch. And this becomes extremely important when it comes down to building a proper pocket within a glove. And we're going to be talking about how important the pocket is to a player here very shortly. But if you notice, you can't buy a glove with a pocket. That glove lays totally wide open because there's no space for that ball to sit, and that's the definition of the pocket. It's a space that's been stretched out over whether you've malleted it in or just overuse of playing catch. That leather has eventually stretched and built a pocket. Now this glove can lay totally flat and the ball is totally encapsulated, which is extremely important to the player, and we'll touch on that here in a second. But if you don't oil your glove, like let's say I pulled this glove right off the shelf, if I never oil this glove and I never give that ability of the leather to move and to stretch, I'll never be able to build a proper pocket in this glove, and that's definitely going to affect the playability of the glove on the diamond. So now that I've explained the importance of oiling the glove, I'm going to go over a couple tips and tricks for anyone who might not be familiar with the process itself, and just some things to look for that I think could be overlooked. So what are we going to need for it? We're going to need our glove, we're going to need a baseball, we're going to need some form of glove oil. You may or you may not need rubber bands, and we'll get to that in a minute. But we're also going to need some form of material to shield the glove from whatever work surface we're working on. This leather is not going to absorb the oil immediately, so you don't want to put an oily glove down on a table or down on an important surface, because it is going to transfer that oil from the glove and the pigments from the glove onto that surface below. So things that I've used before are old newspapers like this, or maybe a garbage bag. So if you've never oiled a glove before, you're going to be happy to hear that the process is super quick and super easy. Really, there's no science to it. All I'm trying to do is cover any and all surfaces of this glove with a thin layer of oil. And if you've never done this before, I want to emphasize the word thin, just because the heavier that you put the oil on, the longer it takes the leather to absorb. So the longer you're going to have an oily glove hanging around your house. You can't really use the glove to train and work with when it's oily, because it gets transferred to both the player's hands, the glove, and the surrounding environment. So especially for the process of working at home, you don't want that glove to be super oily. So put it on thin. If you have to, go and check it 2 days later. If it still feels dry, go ahead and add another coat. No harm, no foul. So let's talk real quick about the surfaces that I would oil on this glove. I would start on the back, and I would make sure I get the entire back. I don't want to miss anything. A spot you might miss is in between the fingers, so I want to make sure I get some oil on my finger and run it in between each and every one of those. Another spot that might be missed is the actual palm of the glove, so I'm going to put some oil on my hand and insert it in the glove, because you have to remember, not only is that out in the elements, but it's also getting the sweat from your palms over the course of the summer. So that's a place where you see a lot of cracking on gloves that are neglected. So I'm going to turn that over to the inside of the glove. I would oil this entire surface, and I'm also going to pay specific attention to the pocket of the glove. That's obviously, again, we talked about the importance of the pocket and the stretching. I want the leather that's in that pocket to have the ability to stretch, so I can retain the pocket that I have in this glove. And also the other thing is, as this glove is used in a game, the ball is continually hitting that pocket and removing the oils. So that's a place where a glove can really dry out easily. Another tip where I think a lot of people would miss is you want to get every single piece of the lacing that you can. So as you see, I've untied a lot of the knots, even in the webbing in the glove, all along the side of the glove, and I'm going to put oil on my fingers and run those all along the lacing, and that's going to hinder the ability of the lacing to start cracking and eventually breaking, and then your glove is no longer safe. You can always get it restitched, but if you can, protect your investment. It only takes a couple seconds. So I'm going to hit the back, I'm going to hit between the fingers, I'm going to hit the inside on the palm, I'm going to hit the actual pocket of the glove and this inner surface, and then I'm going to go along and I'm going to hit as much of the lacing that I possibly can, including between the fingers, on the wrist strap, and anything that might have a knot, I'm going to untie that and make sure that it totally gets soaked in oil. So now that we have a properly oiled glove, we're just going to leave this thing flat on the table, right? Wrong. Remember how we just talked about you can increase the malleability and stretchability of leather through oiling? This is the best time to really work on either retaining your pocket or building a pocket in a new glove or a glove that might be struggling with building a pocket. And the way that you do that is you take a baseball, okay, and you put that right in where the pocket should be, and you give it a nice stretch. I'm squeezing all around that baseball. And again, what that's doing while the oil is fresh on the leather and being absorbed, it's stretching that leather out and further building that pocket into the glove. And that's what enables you to have a super deep pocket in a glove like this. If you're really struggling, on a new glove, something like this, something where you're totally starting from scratch and rebuilding, a good idea is to take rubber bands, okay? And these are just from some produce that I got at the grocery store. I've noticed the wider that you get them, the stiffer they are, and the stiffer they are, the better they hold. But I'm going to put the glove in, or I'm going to put the ball in the glove. I'm going to squeeze around trying to stretch that pocket. Then I'm going to put 2 rubber bands over top of this glove. And that's going to help you a number of ways. One, that pressure is going to continually be able to stretch the pocket out around that baseball. So as that glove is absorbing the oils, the pressure of those rubber bands is going to squeeze that pocket into the glove, and instead of just oiling it and then going to play catch with it at a later date, I think that you can really get a lot out of rubber banding the glove and squeezing that pocket. Another way that this is going to help is it's going to keep that glove closed, which is going to help to build a nice crease in the glove. And again, that's going to be able to make it easier to move. So you're going to have a better crease, a deeper pocket, and you're also going to gain all the benefits that we talked about by oiling in the ease of use. And that's a great way to take a glove from totally stiff to, some form of being able to use it on a diamond. It's still not going to be perfect. It takes a long time to break in a glove properly, but you'd be amazed how much improvement that you can make in a glove, especially a new one, just by oiling it, putting a ball in it, and then putting some rubber bands on it while that oil absorbs. So the last tip that I have for you today, we kind of already covered, but I really want to go back and emphasize it and show you how you can use it through the course of the season to make your glove that much better. So do you remember that ball that we put in the glove after oiling? This ball and this glove should be totally inseparable throughout the entire lifetime of this glove. And what I mean by is wherever the glove goes, the ball goes. That means especially whenever you throw this thing in the car, you throw it in, you cram it in the bottom of a baseball bag. If you don't have the ball in there retaining the pocket and continually stretching that leather, if you take this glove and you throw it in the bottom of the bag, let's say, you cram it in the bottom of the bag and you shove a helmet on top of that, it's going to turn that glove straight into a pancake. And then over time, that great pocket that you had starts to get more and more narrow, and then the glove starts to open up more and more on the plays. Where if you have a ball in there always taking up space inside the pocket, now it doesn't matter what's sitting on it. You can smash that thing down under 100 pounds, it won't matter. The ball's taking up the space of the pocket. And that's how over time, it takes a long time to build a really good and a really deep pocket. So you want to use that to the best of your ability and for as long as you can. And the second you get that thing built, as long as you leave a ball inside that glove, especially during traveling, you're going to get the most bang for your buck and the most longevity out of the pocket. And something that I believe I missed earlier on in this video that just came to my mind, why that pocket's super important, especially, it's really important for younger players, through ease of making harder plays and things like that. It helps you build confidence, but also it's going to help, even your high school athletes and above. The better your pocket is, the more specific of a location that ball ends up. It ends up, as if your pocket's super deep, it's going to end up in the exact same place in that glove every single time, whether it's a fly ball or a ground ball. And the reason why that's important is over time, again, the longer that this glove is in my hands, as I increase the longevity of this glove and become more familiar, my brain learns the muscle memory of exactly where that ball is going to be. So let's say it's a ground ball and it's a bang bang play. I'm not in there fumbling around looking for where the ball is. My brain knows exactly where the ball is. I can rotate it, get on the seams, and it just reduces the amount of time transitioning the ball from my glove. As opposed to a brand new glove here, take the rubber bands off, a brand new glove here, let's say I take a ground ball, since it has no place to go, it's just kind of always bobbling around. So, a third of the plays, the ball's over here, a third of the plays, the ball's over here. It might come up into, more towards the meat of your palm on a couple plays. You're always guessing where that ball is going to be. So that's taking time. And each, every second that it takes you to get a hold of that ball is another second that those runners are, getting farther down the base path, and it just makes those plays a little bit harder to make. So the deeper and the better that you can keep that pocket, the quicker transition time you can get the ball from the glove to your hand and actually going on to make the play. So it is a super important aspect, and if I didn't mention it before, this ball has literally been inside this glove for as long as it's been alive, so 13 years, as long as it's been under my care, and I really firmly believe that that's made a huge difference in my gameplay over the years that I've owned the glove. So a super quick recap. Why should you oil your glove? It increases the durability, so it keeps it in the player's hands longer, and it makes them more familiar with the glove. It's going to increase the safety aspect of the glove, which is going to make him play with more confidence and be able to make better plays. It's going to increase the easy use because it's easier to move, and that's going to be especially important for the younger age group. And because it increases the ability to stretch, it's going to help build those pockets that are so important to being a great fielder. So if you're still watching this, I hope that everyone learned something. I hope that whether you're a player, a coach, or a parent, you get all the gloves in your house out tonight and you take a couple minutes to just put a thin layer of oil on them. You'll be super glad you did when the season finally comes back. If you enjoyed this material, give me a like. If you feel that you know someone who might need this information, go ahead and share that with them. And remember, I know this is a touchy time. Remember everyone to stay positive, stay healthy, and stay on the ball. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.